If you go to your local pet store looking to buy a shrimp and you find one with eggs already on her, you might be inclined to think to yourself, hey, I'm going to get that one because it's already got eggs, and when I put her in my tank, the eggs are just going to hatch, and then I'll basically get a bunch of free shrimp that way, right? Well, not so fast. You might want to think twice about that, or at least prepare in advance for something like that, because it's not always that simple. Shrimp do molt, especially when they're put in a tank where the water parameters are a bit different. And when that happens, especially if they're buried, you might get a situation like this. The eggs will stick to the exoskeleton, so when she molts, all the eggs stay on the molt, and that's no good. If you look at a buried shrimp, you'll notice that she often fans her swimmerets, the place where the eggs are, back and forth, kind of wiggling and jiggling and all that stuff. And that helps the eggs survive. There's a lot of different reasons why it's done, but let's just keep it simple. That needs to happen. And that doesn't happen if the eggs are no longer on the exoskeleton that mama shrimp is using. So yeah, they can die, you know, if they're not on mama shrimp. Don't worry though, because if you do notice the exoskeleton with the eggs on it in time, you can in fact save those eggs. Aha! It's called an egg tumbler. Now this is a pretty cheap egg tumbler that I've got. I use it for demonstration purposes mainly. There are better ones out there. You can fashion your own. It's a very simple concept. You stick an airline hose onto the part right there, and you set the air very slow. And just like a sponge filter, air goes in, creates a vacuum, and that makes a pulling effect. So each bloop, bloop of air, it's going to bounce the eggs up and down, and it basically simulates what mama shrimp does. Because mama shrimp, let's see if I can find some mommy shrimp here. Mama shrimp is often going to fan those eggs herself. But like we said before, if the eggs are on an exoskeleton that she molted off of herself, well, then she can't do that. So you'll need to do it artificially. So, before you think to yourself, hey, I'm going to get a bunch of free shrimp because this one's already got eggs, you might not get that result. But if tragedy should strike, there are ways to mitigate losing the babies. So, just a little food for thought that I figured might be good to share.